Hello, my Displacer Beasts, my Druids, my Rogues, and my Goofy Goober Warlocks. I am your average D&D player, and welcome to my first video of the channel. Some things to know about me. I've been playing D&D for about 1 or 2 years, and I really enjoy it and highly recommend it to anyone who's looking for a fun storytelling RPG game. Um, Yeah, and if you're a great storyteller and you love storytelling, but you've never really had an opportunity to ever express your storytelling, this is the game for that. And for my digital people who mainly play games online and don't really play board games, I really don't think that your gaming options should just be um solely digital, but eh, your life is your life. Anyway, but yeah, I believe there's a D&D online version, and yeah, but it can be for a lot of people. It can be for a lot of people who don't take things seriously, if you want to joke around. And you don't even have to storytell. You can just be a player, which is actually the topic of today's video. Today we're going to be going over the types of classes you should and shouldn't be, and why you shouldn't be this class. Well, that's all of this intro. Enjoy the video. Now, to understand what kind of class you're going to be, we need to know what kind of person are you, what kind of person is your character, and also how long have you been playing D&D. Now, this also can apply to the level of equality you have on your character sheet, like the level of dexterity or charisma or stealthiness you have. If you have a high level of dexterity, you should probably be like a physical class. And if you have a high level of charisma, you should probably be something like a charmer class or something like that. This can also apply to your race, but we're not getting into that right now. Now, there are over 13 classes of there are over 13 classes. We're probably not going to go over all of them, but I think but the ones we're probably going to go over are the Ranger, the Bard, the Rogue, the Barbarian, etc., and everything on screen right now. Yeah, let's get started with our first class. Let's start off with the Rogue. Now, also side note, if the audio sounds different, I don't think I mentioned this in the explaining which classes there are, but yeah, I'm using a different microphone right now. Anyway, let's start off with the Rogue. Now, rogues are sneaky thieves that mainly rely on stealth and charisma to get by. They are neutral at best. Neutral at best. They're not good, they're not bad. And they mainly use daggers and stuff like that. Now, if you're looking to be something like that, then this character is for you. And if you've been playing D&D, this is a good-ish starter character. You could probably go with this one if you're beginning. Yeah, and if you have a high amount of stealth and charisma, definitely go with this character. Okay, on to the next character. Now, an artificer mainly relies on their high intellect and probably some forms of charisma. They specialize in making technology and potions. So if you want to do something like that, then this character is most definitely for you. You should probably start using this type of class, probably like within two months to a year with playing D&D, because they can get pretty complicated. It took me like a bit to understand an artificer, but other than that, you should be good to play with this one after like 2 months to a year of playing D&D. It's a maybe you should go with this character with beginning. No, this video is for beginners playing D&D. So, yeah. Now, a bard mainly relies on charisma to get around, and they can either be thieves or entertainers. They mainly use a lute or some sort of instrument to charm or use some sort of magic relating, like channeling it through the lute. I'm just gonna go with saying lute instead of any other instrument. You can go with whatever instrument you want. I normally go with lute. Now for me, I started using a bard decently recently. Hey, that rhymed. And decently simple to understand. Yeah, it is mainly a support class. So if you do not want to be a support class, like a cleric, we'll get to them in a bit, then do not go with this character. But if you're more like trying to stay in the sidelines, not trying to be in the main battle, then definitely go with a bard. I started using a bard within a year of playing D&D, and you probably should too. So yeah, use a bard within a year to doing D&D. They're pretty simple to understand off that. Okay, on to the next class. Now, if you're gonna go with the cleric, this is another support class. They're mainly magical healers. They are mainly used for that, and they're pretty intellectual, and they're pretty passive, and they can be pretty good for beginners because they mainly stay within the sidelines of battle, like healing the other players. And yeah, so if you want to be a support class, this is the same thing with the bard. If you want to be a support class, then go with this. But if you don't want to be a support class, you want to be within the battle, then probably don't recommend this. And you can definitely start out with this, probably. So yeah, on to the next class. Now, paladins are mainly fighters. They use weapons like swords to battle, and they're like, I don't know much about paladins since I've never really been a paladin, but if you want to be a paladin, totally go with it. This looks somewhat simple to be. You could probably be this class after 1 month of playing D&D. And yeah, probably go with this after 1 month of playing D&D. But yeah. Anyway, on to the next class. Now, this is for the people who don't want any weapon limitations or anything like that. They just want to be straight in the battle and just want to fight. Fighters can use weapons from swords to spears to axes to hammers. Any weapon. They're great for beginners. I highly recommend going with this if you're looking to be in the front lines fighting. Totally go with this one for beginners. But to be fair, this one does rely on dexterity and strength and stuff like that. Anyway, on to the next class. Now these are barbarians, and they rely solely on strength. They are brutes, they are strong, they are tanks. If you want to go with something like a big character, you want to be something like a orc or a big, like, dragonborn or something, I highly recommend this class. It can definitely be for beginners, but there are some weapon limitations. You can't use normal, like, swords and stuff like that. And you gotta mainly use great swords, giant axes, war hammers, and stuff like that. Now, on to the next class. Now, monks, they are for the pacifists. People who want to do good, but do it in the right way. Now, this class can use weapons, but they mainly use staffs, and they mainly rely on cantrips and physical strength. This can be for beginners. I've seen one of my friends use this class before, and I haven't seen them like play D&D other than that time. And yeah, if you want to go the whole pacifist route, this one's definitely for you. On to the next class. Now, rangers are mainly for people who want to go with more like a long range sort of character. They can do close, like, melee combat, but they're more known for their long range combat with their, like, bow and arrows and stuff. So if you want to do, like, long range, this character is totally for you. I started playing with this one within a year to playing D&D. This is also a good starter character. I just played it within a year of playing D&D. Anyway, yeah. Do this one. It's a great beginner if you like long range stuff and being in the battle, but not like completely like front lines, like right there in front of the enemy in the battle, you know? Okay, on to the next class. Now, wizards, they are an extremely popular class in D&D. Most spell casting classes in D&D are super, super popular. I'd personally go with a spellcaster class. Holy stutter. I'd personally go with a spellcaster class. In D&D, I feel like they're good starters. Now, wizards, they have the most spell slots, but, like, you have to choose, like, a certain amount of spells every day. And there are 4 different types of wizards. The regular wizard, which is on screen now, which focuses on a bit of everything when it comes to magic. And the 3 others we're about to get to. On to them. Now, necromancy is one of the 4 spell schools, like the wizardry schools in D&D. We're only going to cover the 3 because there are like 13, and I don't want this video to be too long. And this one follows summoning the dead and stuff like that. One of my buddies played with and played as a necromancer, and from what I could tell, he had a lot of fun with it. And you can start at any time, if I'm being honest. So it's the same with the ranger. I should have said you could start at any time with the ranger. And yeah, on to the next spell school, wizardry school, whatever you want to call it. Now, the Conjuration Wizardry School follows conjuring up things like magical items or animals, and to put it in simple terms, if you're an anime nerd, think of Megumi Fushiguro or the Ten Shadows technique from Jujutsu Kaisen. Anyway, this is also, like, all of these wizardry schools with the wizard, like, you can start at any time with these classes. It's up to you which one you want to go with. It's when you pick the wizard, you gotta pick a class to go down. Like, you gotta pick a way to go down. You can, like, sort of, like, not go down a path and just sort of study them all at once, which is, like, sort of an ideal option for beginners, or you could just study one and become the greatest at that one. Anyway, on to the next wizardry school. Now, abjuration, sort like wizardry, it follows specifically learning defensive spells, and this is great for beginners who want to specifically, like, just stay in the sidelines, stay as a support sort of character. And yeah, this is going to be the last wizardry school we cover before we move on to the next class. This one's super good for beginners who don't really want to be on the front lines, but also want to do cool spells and stuff like that, similar to the bard and monk and cleric and stuff. Anyway, on to the next class. Now, sorcerers, they are born with their magical capabilities. Now, there are probably a lot of subclasses with the sorcerer, but I'm only going to cover these two. The basic sorcerer, where you just cover magic like this, but here's the thing. Unlike the wizard, their spell slots are sort of shortened, because they didn't really study to use their magical abilities. Anyway, on to the subclass. Oh, before that, this is also pretty good for beginners. Highly recommend it, and yeah, good for beginners, but you can also start at any time with this one. Now, on to the next class. Now, Dragonic Sorcerers are a subclass of the Sorcerer, and my buddy, who also plays D&D, started playing with it within a year of playing D&D. So I'd go with that too. I'd start playing with Dragonic Sorcerers within a year of playing D&D. And with Dragonic Sorcerers, you don't exactly have to be a Dragonborn to be a Dragonic Sorcerer. They, it depends on what kind of, like, Dragonic Sorcerer you are. Like, if you're, like, a Lightning Dragonic Sorcerer, then you'll have arcane magic, like shooting lightning bolts and stuff. Or if you, like, are a fire dragon or acid dragon, whatever the element the dragon is, you'll be. So, yeah, on to the next class. Now, warlocks, they have the least spell slots out of all the magical classes in D&D. So, I'm gonna guess they would be good for beginners. I wouldn't know because I haven't played with it yet. But it might be good for beginners. Take my word with a grain of salt, though. Now, warlocks, they get their magical powers through making a deal with a deity, most likely a demon. And they'll give you these magical powers for either your soul or $5, most likely your soul. Yeah, and I wouldn't use them if you're, like, experienced in D&D, but you can if you want to. Anyway, on to the next class. Now, Eldritch Knights are like, think of the scenario. You're a fighter, and you see your wizard buddy casting fireball to your left, and you're thinking, you want to do that. Well, the Eldritch Knight is for you if you want to do that. This is a pretty good beginner class. It combines the spells of a wizard and the strength of a fighter. So, yeah, pretty good for beginners. I'd recommend it within a week of playing D&D. Anyway, on to the next class. All right, last class. I saved the best for last. The Druid. This is also a super good beginner class. Now, normally, like, think of like a wood druid. You can only turn into animals that are only occur naturally through nature. Now, druids can turn into animals. Like, they start off like sort of like small, kind of weak, but can handle themselves in a fight. But as they progress and get to higher levels, well, they become more and more powerful animals. Now, this was the first class I went with, and it was kind of hard for me to understand, but I got used to it within 2-ish weeks of playing D&D. So yeah, start playing with a druid within 2-ish weeks of playing D&D. Anyway, see ya then. Thank you for watching. This was your average D&D player, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. Hey there. This is your average D&D player coming straight from my room. Yeah, so some additional information on the channel. This is what you're hearing. There's another microphone that's not here right now, that I use to make these videos. This is the first one, and I'd love your support and to keep these videos going. I don't have an official schedule yet. Hopefully these videos will be around either monthly or weekly or daily. It's gonna be a mixture of all three. So, yeah, I'm gonna keep the face hidden until we maybe reach a subscriber milestone. Maybe around 20 subscribers. We're gonna try to hit 20 subscribers, and I will take this off and reveal my mug, my little face. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Have a great night or morning or day, whenever you're watching this. And I will see you in the next one. Goodbye now.